Hello, welcome to Coffee and Card at Home. So this is week 4 using the Christmas Scottie bundle, and today we are using one of my favourite stamps from it, the tartan background stamp, and 2 dogs. So here a Scottie Dog and a West Highland White Terrier I thought together. So you're going to need a C6 card base in basic white thick cardstock. And that, of course, measures 14.8 centimetres on a piece of A4 card and then scored at 10.5 centimetres. So I'm just going to burnish my fold first of all. And then we're going to put that to the side because we don't need that until later. And then I've got a piece of basic white cardstock which measures a little bit smaller, so we have got 13.8 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres, so it's going to give us a little white border all the way around the outside. And this is what we're going to be stamping our tartan background onto. So I'm using Real Red and Old Olive, which are 2 colours that obviously work really well together. You could change the colours if you wanted to and go for something a little different. But I wanted mine to be nice and Christmassy looking. So I'm just going to start off, I'm just working by eye, but if you wanted to, you could measure it if you wanted to be completely accurate. And I'm just going to put that stamp on where I think halfway is going to be going horizontally and vertically, so it's a little bit tricky, and it should just stamp off the edge slightly as well. Give it a good press down because this stamp sometimes may come out without completely covering it up, but that's not too bad. And then I'm going to swap to my Old Olive. You could do all of your red if you wanted to, but I just find it a bit easier to get everything lined up if I alternate. So what we're going to do with the Old Olive is we are going to go exactly above it. Make sure that's well inked, but can you see you've got these little bits sticking out? We want to try and see if we can get a bit of an overlap on that so that we don't end up with any gaps. It is a bit fiddly to get them absolutely straight. There we go. So you've got a bit of an overlap there. You'll see when you hold the stamp over that you can kind of see where the red was underneath. It takes a bit of practice to get it just right, but it is worth it in the end. So I'm going to keep my green actually, because now I'm going to do my 2 green squares here. So what we're going to do is we're going to again line it up at the side so there's a slight overlap, and hopefully line up at the top as well. I think the thing as well, you have to not worry too much if it's not perfect, because the dogs and the sentiment go on the top, and so if it isn't perfectly in line then they will obviously hide quite a lot of the image anyway. There we go, that's not come out too badly actually. So then I'm just going to go back to my red, and those are obviously going to be stamped here and here. I'm just going to turn it around just to make it slightly easier for myself so it's a bit closer to where I am. The other thing to bear in mind is that you keep your stamp the same way around each time, because it is a rectangle rather than a square. So you want to make sure that you're using it in the same direction each time. Otherwise you will find you're lining up a little bit more tricky. There we go, that's not come out too badly. It looks a little darker than my original because I've recently re-inked my ink pads, so they are a bit darker than the one that I did before. Right, so once you've done that, obviously you've got your background ready, we can then get that stuck onto our card base. And I'm just going to stick that on with some Tombow. Now, if you wanted to, you could just do it directly onto your card base, but to be quite honest, I did not trust myself to get it right. And I thought, at least if I do it on another piece of card and things go wrong, I can at least change it. And you'll see that that gives you a nice white border all the way around as well. Right, so the next thing we're going to do, pop that to the side, is we're going to stamp our Scottie Dogs. So I've got a piece of basic white here, and I'm going to stamp one in black, and then the other one I'm just going to punch out. So let's get our first one inked up. Make sure it's well inked. Again, the middle sometimes doesn't come out perfectly well on this, so just be careful. He's got a few little white patches on him, but I don't mind about that. If he was a real dog, he would have, you know, textured fur and all of that kind of thing, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is use the punch to punch him out. And of course, whilst we're punching him out, we'll end up with a bow being cut out as well. So we're going to keep that bow because we're going to colour it in. So we can keep him onto the bow. And then I'm going to do another one, this time just punched out in white with no outline. If you didn't really like the white of the dog, you could always go for a different colour dog. So of course, similar breeds that you could go for, you could go for sort of like a Cairn Terrier in brown, or you could go for grey like I did on the week 3 card. So you could go for some slight variations if you weren't so sure about using the dog in white. So I'm just going to leave the dogs for a moment. I'm going to look at the bows. So I've selected my Real Red and Old Olive marker pens, and I'm just going to colour them in with the thick end of the marker pen. Try and keep all my strokes in the same direction and leave that to dry. And same with my red one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the fine end of the basic black marker pen, and I'm just going to do kind of what looks like a bow in the middle. So it just gives it some shape really. And then also, just to make it look a bit more interesting, I decided to do some red polka dots on the green bow tie, and then some green polka dots on the red. But you could leave them as they are, or up to you really. I just like spotty things. Right, so the dog as well, they both need to have a collar, so you can see that the black dog has got the space there for the collar to just go on. So I'm just going to give him a red collar, and then I'm going to give the white dog a collar as well, but I'm just going to try and see if I can figure out whereabouts it will be, so it'll sort of be across there. And then also my white dog is going to need an eye. So again, looking at the black dog, trying to figure out where the eye would go. Roughly there. Now the eye hasn't come out particularly well on my black dog, so I'm just going to emphasise that part of the eye a bit there, just so that it's a bit more visible. So we're going to get those stuck now onto the card base. I'm going to put the white one on flat with Tombow. And he's going to go out there. Obviously remember you've got to also fit a sentiment on, so don't do them too low down. I might actually do my sentiment now just so that I know that's definitely going to fit on. So I'm just going to use the May Your Days Be Furry and Bright again, and I decided to do that in black this time. So actually I think I did in the kits, I have put a little strip for you to do it on, but I've just done it on there. So I will just trim that down with my paper trimmer. And then, just so that I know where to position my black dog, I'm going to get that one now. So I'm just going to put 3 dimensionals on there. And line up my card with my grid paper to help me get it straight. And look at obviously what's going on around it, the tartan. And then my black dog, I'm going to raise that one up. You could put a mini dimensional on the tail if you wanted to, but not essential. And then we're just going to get him to overlap with the white dog slightly. And then finally I'm going to stick on my bows. Now if you were going to be posting this, you may not want many dimensionals on there to keep it a little thinner for posting, so you could just stick them straight on, or the choice is yours really. So I'm going to put the green bow on the black spotty dog, and I'm going to put the red bow on the white one. And then the only thing left to do is just a bit of sparkle needed. So I have some gold rhinestones, and I'm just going to pop a few of those just randomly around. I did decide to put a couple on the sentiment as well. But you can obviously really decide where you want them, or you might even decide you don't want them at all. So struggling with my take your pick tool, so I'm just going to go back to using that end. And remember, when you're putting gems on, odd numbers work better, so going for 3 or 5 or 7. So I've got 5 on the background and then 2 just there, and that's finished. So if I bring back the other one, you can see the 2 there. So just a quick recap, we used a basic white thick cardstock base that was C6 size with a piece of basic white cardstock for the tartan background, which measured 13.8 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres, and then some scraps for our two dogs and sentiment. And then we have used real red and old olive ink and the matching marker pens, and then also Memento black ink and a black marker pen. Adhesives we've used are Tombow and dimensionals, and we finished off with some gold rhinestones. So I hope you'll have a go at that, and that is, like I say, the last one in this series. So next month we'll be doing a new bundle, and this will be our last bundle in November, taking us up to Christmas. I hope everyone's kind of getting a little stash of Christmas cards together now. So I will see you next week with our new bundle. Take care till then. Bye.